Day 586 in quarantine, and what I thought was going to be a cute and beachy style is in fact just a hot mess. Today, I thought it might be nice to do something a little bit different and something that kind of is more of a get to know me kind of situation. I love watching people on YouTube talking about books they love and things that inspire them that they've read, and you know what their favorite things are in the literature world. So since I love watching those kinds of videos, I thought, hey, I'm gonna make one for myself because that sounds like a fun time. So I have a giant pile of books here. They are all non-fiction. So I'm starting with non-fiction today, and this video may or may not be split into 2 parts depending on kind of how long it gets when I'm editing. It's a big pile. So I have a giant pile of books. About 50% of them are related to growing your own food, gardening, sustainability, eco-living, that kind of thing. So they are gonna be in part 2, and part 1 today is just gonna be the other ones, the other non-fiction books that I love and that I find really inspirational and influential, and why I love them, and all that kind of good stuff. So we are gonna dive straight into this giant pile because there's a lot to get through. Before I forget, look at me go, I'm growing. Before I forget, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. There's a new video approximately once a week-ish, and I'm really enjoying getting started with YouTube and seeing like the content that I'm making kind of coming together and people are actually watching it, so it's really exciting. Thank you very, very much. And I would love if anyone who is new here, which is most people, would give me a little subscribe because that would be great. Let's get straight into it. This is my 4 favorite non-fiction books and why I love them. So, book number 1, I guess, this is in no particular order anyway, but the first book on the pile is this one. It is called Face Paint by Lisa Eldridge. Anyone who knows me will be able to tell you that I absolutely love makeup. I did used to be a beauty blogger as well, so I am very heavily influenced by the beauty industry. So Face Paint is written by Lisa Eldridge, and she is by far my favorite makeup artist. I find her work so inspirational, and she has written a book all about the history of makeup, which is really, really exciting because it's way more interesting than you would think. And there are some truly amazing stories and anecdotes and snippets in here about the history of makeup. I mean, not to mention that it's just like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to look at. It's a stunning coffee table book. It's really readable, which for a big, like, historical breakdown like that, it could be quite heavy going, but it's really, really readable and easily digestible, and I just love that. I think everything that Lisa Eldridge does is so accessible, and being super into makeup and the beauty industry in general, this is an absolute must-have, and I have found it really, really useful. And I just love looking at it as well because it's so pretty. Book number 2 that I am super inspired by is this bad boy. Mad About the House by Kate Watson Smith. She is amazing. If you don't follow her on Instagram, there is a link in the description box below. Please go and follow her, because if you like interiors and if you like snooping around other people's homes like I do, then she is an absolute gold mine. She runs a blog, she blogs every single day, she does podcasts with other interior designers, she's written a follow-up to this particular book that I'm yet to get my hands on, and it's just gorgeous. If you're into designing your space, making spaces over, or if you just really love the aesthetic of interior books, this is absolutely one of the best that I've found. It's so beautifully produced, like the production value on this is insanely good, and it's very, very readable, it's very accessible, and it is just gorgeous inside and out. And like the breakdowns of like the little checklists that she gives you as well for like that's a lighting checklist for a living room. Like, it's amazing. It's so gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful book. If you're into your interiors, if you're into your house design, anything like that, this is an absolute must-have. Gorgeous. Love. The next one might be a little bit of a cheat because it's really just representative of everything that this author has ever done. It's Mary Berry. She's awesome. Like, let's be real. She is amazing. This particular one is Mary's Household Tips and Tricks, which might seem like a slightly odd choice, but I love household manuals. I love being able to implement things that mean I can look after my home really efficiently and have it just being exactly how I want it, being able to pick and choose from different like organization gurus and people who write books like this. I think are absolutely fantastic. I'm very much affected by the space that I'm around and the environment that I'm in. So if my home is messy and disorganized and, you know, unclean, then it really affects me, and I absolutely hate that. But a book like this that makes it super accessible for you to organize your home and live your best life in your best home is awesome. And Mary Berry's cookbooks are my absolute favorites. I use them really, really regularly. We've got quite a few of them now actually. And just to like, there's something so calming about her writing style. It's just so relaxing, and again, it's the most beautiful, aesthetic looking book ever. It gives me all sorts of inspiration, and there are some really amazing tips and tricks in here if you're unsure about anything. We are soon to be moving. There's some big changes coming, and we're going from a caravan to a house, which is terrifying because I think I'm okay at organizing the caravan and keeping on top of it and cleaning it and everything, but a house is way big and I have no idea how to run a house. So I know, because I've had this for a few years now, that this is going to be a book. I'm like, I can use that. Let's make use of some Mary Berry tips. Book number 4, quite simply, Becoming by Michelle Obama. Oh, I love her. I love her. My mum got me this for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I absolutely devoured it. I am not normally into biographies. I don't find them particularly interesting. They're usually not very readable. Autobiographies, it's much the same thing. They're just kind of dry. But there was something about this one that I just absolutely loved. The whole early part of her life was really, really interesting to me because you can really see how it shaped her into who she is today and what she stands for today. The big thing that I absolutely adored about this book though is 100% the relationship between her and Barack Obama. Their little meet cute and their love story and how their relationship evolves and how they're just absolute best friends and they know each other inside and out is super, super cute. I absolutely loved it. And it's so nice to read something that is ultimately so uplifting. In the end, although a lot of kind of bad stuff happens throughout her life, it left me feeling really happy, and I'm really glad that my mum bought me this because I'm not a biography person, so I wouldn't have bought this for myself. And I'm super excited to watch the documentary. It's coming out on Netflix really soon, I think, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Number 5. Oh, there goes my phone. A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. Classic. I've talked about most of these books, I think, on the blog before. I will link those posts down below if I can find them. A Room of One's Own is a book that my mum gave to me when I was probably about 11 or 12. I've read it a few times since being a grown-up because when you're 11 or 12 you don't necessarily understand what you're reading. All I knew back then was that this was a combination of essays by Virginia Woolf, basically discussing how a woman's independence and being alone and creating her own space and existing in her own space is one of the few successful ways that she could be a writer. It's a form of female empowerment that, you know, when it was written it must have been like pretty scandalous, and it's really empowering in a way, and obviously it's not as extreme as it would be if it was written by today's standards. If Virginia Woolf was here today and writing this, number one, it wouldn't be an essay, it would be a YouTube video, and number two, it would be a lot more extreme because it's modern times now. You know, we have definitely more or less moved past the idea that women of a certain age have to be married in order to survive, which is amazing, but that's when this was written, and there's a lot of focus on that and the fact that you don't necessarily need to be sharing a space with a man in order to be successful. I really like it. It's been with me since my childhood, and I think it's just a really nice way of remembering what a lot of our foremothers have done for us in terms of suffrage and, you know, the emancipation of women and all this kind of stuff. It's a really nice kind of nod to all of those women who did something and who tried to make the world a better place for all of us girls to come after them. So I really like that. I think it's a good one to have for women. So that's it for part 1 of my favorite non-fiction books. I love non-fiction. I think you can really learn a lot about people from which non-fiction they're reading. And if you guys have any recommendations for something that I should be reading or that you want me to share, then I would really love to see that in the comments below. That would be super, super exciting. I love getting book recommendations, so do let me know if there's anything that I should be looking up. I'm looking forward to part 2, which is going to be the 3 books that I find most helpful and inspirational for sustainability and growing your own food, etc. And I will see you guys in part 2. Bye!